Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program with me, Nihai Hobo, where today we are going to be doing a special edition. This is actually a post-recording narration. It's a commentary over the top of the video footage. The reason for that is I think I must have made a bit of a boo-boo in the audio recording phase. I record the video and the audio separately. And when I came to edit the video, I had two lots of audio from episode 26 and nothing from this I had two audio samples from episode 27 and nothing for 26. So I must have either not named them correctly or not started recording and exported it the same track twice. Whatever, it was the same track, so this is what we're having. Now, what we're looking at on the screen here is that I'm showing you, if you want to go ahead and pause the video in a minute, where the mouse is now. If you call from Kerbal the Sun to Kerbin the planet, a 0 degree mark, where the mouse was, the top left-hand side there, is where you want Moho to be when you're going to launch towards it, or when you start your launch. That's going to give you the best possible chance for interception, but remember, you do need to do that retrograde. However, spoiler alert, in the future episodes, it doesn't work out. I don't know whether or not my rocket was too slow, or I spent too long orbiting Kerbin, or I spent too long on the transfer burn, but it doesn't work out. The other thing to remember with that, though, as well, is that that's based on a 100-kilometer parking orbit. The exact measurements that you need are in retrograde. You need to be 251 degrees retrograde, so that's clockwise as you were looking at that map. Then you actually want to start, this is the bit that we're going to be talking about now, start your transfer burn. Again, you're traveling retrograde, and you saw me do that in last episode with the launch, so you should know what I'm on about there, at 118 degrees. So what that means is that this line, this blue line that has just disappeared, is the trajectory that you're traveling in orbit around the sun. If you line that up as your 0 degree, and that's so your 0 is behind you, then you want to be 118 degrees away from it. That is pretty much where I think that's the apoapsis. I can't really see properly, but you're going to see in a second. I'll start the transfer burn in a moment. Any second now. I think we're actually just trying to get ourselves lined up with, we're just trying to get ourselves lined up with our crosshair. Of course, because of the sheer mass and size and weight of this rocket, it lurches like an absolute nightmare. It's horrible to control when you have no power. So there we go, we're on the line, and up we go. So that's it now. Then transfer burn starts. Now I have got the little rocket and the two atomic engines working at the moment, but this is what I was saying a minute ago. I don't know whether it took me too long to do this, and that's why I missed my interception with Moho in a minute, because this is where we're going to sort of struggle for something to say. So at this point that I'm doing this, I am actually recording this December the 1st. The reason why I'm doing so many episodes in advance is because of I've got exams. I'm actually taking exams all through. Well, so I'm not taking them, but I'm assisting in exams all through December. I also don't have any internet, so I'm not going to have any time to upload anything. So I'm doing a bulk recording now so that I can get a video out every day through December, up until December 24th, by which point my internet should be fixed, and we will be ready to start doing things like the live stream, and I'll probably put up a Christmas special. Thinking about doing a Christmas tree in Tekkit, actually. If I get a chance this afternoon, I'm going to have a look and see how that pans out, if I can do something with that. So hopefully I should be back on the server by then. So as you can see, I've been talking all that time, and we've made very little impact on the raising the orbit around Kerbin. That's just, again, as I say, due to the underpowered engines and oversized craft is what's causing that. But of course we need so much fuel to get... Well, again, another spoilers. If you don't want to know what happens in future episodes, then I'd skip forwards a minute or two now. Okay, so in later episodes, I wind up getting into a Kerbin orbit. Orbit around the sun on what should be the interception point. As I said already, we don't make the interception point, but we run out of fuel. So I wind up having to tinker a little bit with the save file and refilling the fuel tanks to enable us to carry on. Because as you can see, when we were just chewing fuel and fuel and fuel and fuel and not making any real impact on anything. Yeah, well, so I won't tell you what happens when we get to Joule, but suffice to say we're not quite finished with it. But Christmas Eve, I believe, episode 30 will be coming out, and that is an hour and 18 minutes long. I've just finished rendering it anyway, and that's as far as I'm going to be getting for the time being. That will give you guys enough time to give me some feedback as well, and let me know what you want me to do, and if I'm doing things wrong, you can shout and complain at me, and you know, just generally be YouTubers. So yeah, still struggling to make any real sort of impact on the I'm moving the mouse on the screen thinking that you guys can see it, but of course you can't. Making a very little impact on the orbit height. But I mean, that is the name of the game. I don't know. I think we're going to have a bit of a redesign on this craft as well, and see if we can lose a substantial amount of weight. I also don't know whether or not... I'm questioning whether or not a retrograde launch is... I know that you should be doing a retrograde launch to go to the sun, but we burn so much fuel just getting into a retrograde orbit that it doesn't seem worthwhile. It seems more sensible because you've got to go... Ultimately, you have to bleed speed off, and this is the idea behind it. You have to lose speed eventually, one way or another. I think in order to intercept Moho, because its gravity is so low in its area of influence, I think we drop to about 100, 300 meters eventually to get into an interception with it. But you need to be traveling about 11,000 meters a second, 11 kilometers, to just get into an orbital path with it. So let's say eventually you have to lose a huge amount of speed, and the idea is that if you're going retrograde, you have to lose less speed, but you have to gain more speed in the first place to get off the goddamn planet, and that is where you lose your edge. Even in real life, about 95% of the fuel that a rocket carries is spent getting it into orbit in the first place. So there we go. That's the escape sorted out there. So let's go fast forwards and get slingshotted towards the sun. The only other thing I can think to do is to just go in a straight goddamn line, to wait till get the planets aligned, wait till midday or just slightly before, maybe about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then just power straight towards the sun. Not worry about getting into a retrograde orbit, not worrying about anything else. Just go in a straight line and not worry about having to achieve excessive amounts of speed to get into the orbit in the first place. That's the only thing. Now, that theory hasn't played out in the past, but it's about the only thing I've got left. The other thing which makes this a bit tricky, and this is the other thing, I spent a long time sort of circling Moho. I think this might have been where I knackered up the mathematics and the interception, because, I mean, it's about 2 Moho years which go by in the time I do this. Whoops, sorry about that. So that's something else I'm going to try as well. In fact, actually, what I'm probably going to do now is spend a bit of time off camera working on getting it to work in the first place, and then learning. Did I say learning? I said learning way too many times there. But finding out how to get to Moho, and then once I actually know how to do it, coming back and no pun intended, doing it with you guys, or no euphemism intended. Giggity. Alright. So, there we go. We are now starting to shrink our periapsis, but like I say, I think it may be too late. Now, in spite of the fact that we did the retrograde orbit as well, you'll notice that the apoapsis, where we are now, is still above the height of the Kerbal orbit. Irregardless. Now I remember. The reason that I spent so long getting round to this particular point to lower the apoapsis was because the orbit of Moho is not circular, and nor is it a level plane. So it doesn't orbit on the 90-degree mark like every other planet apart from Eve. But Joule is on the 90-degree plane, and what's the other one? Duna is on a 90-degree plane as well. But Moho has one of the worst orbiting planes itself. So what I was trying to do here was get my interception point where the 90-degree plane and whatever plane Moho is on meet. So there we go. That's the last of the atomic engines, and you can see yes, something stupid's going to happen here. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Spamming the space. Oh, look at all that precious fuel that was in that tank, gone, wasted. And that's what really kills this flight. Not that I'm overly convinced that we would have done a vast amount with it anyway. But it sure as hell didn't help the situation. I'll tell you that for nothing. So yeah, it was and I think that was actually one of my most efficient launches as well, possibly, question mark. And it was just that. But yeah, the reason why I started spam clicking is I have to shed as much weight as I can, as fast as I can. And as you saw there, the 2 atomic engines have burnt out, and I had pressed the decoupler, the stage, the spacebar to go to the next stage. And for whatever reason, assuming the staging was in the wrong order, the engines didn't separate. And so I misread then the following stages, and when I double clicked it, I decoupled the radial. Sorry, the radial decouplers is what was holding the atomic engines on, and those were the ones I was trying to separate. And what I wound up doing was going about 2 or 3 stages too far and disconnecting the stack decoupler, which held that little engine on with about 2 tanks of fuel, which, as I say, wouldn't have possibly, I don't think it would have made a huge amount of impact on the scheme of things, but it sure as hell didn't help getting rid of it. Let's just go with that. So that's the lesson, kids. Don't spam click, and don't do drugs. So we are now on the aerospike engines anyway. Now the reason that we're using the aerospike engines, I can't remember if I covered this in episode 25, But they give you very, very good lift. And if you keep them, you have to keep them under a quarter throttle. They give you a pretty good fuel economy. I know, I'm completely backtracking on what I said, but I was misusing them. I'm not a massive fan, because when I was building space planes and I was putting them at 100% throttle, they would tear through a tank of fuel in a few seconds. I mean, under 10 seconds. But if you keep them under the quarter throttle, they give you a very high output. But the other thing that they do, and this is key for landing on Moho, and I'll go ahead and credit Scott Manley for this one, is that they're much, much slower, certainly, to overheat than anything else. And when you go to Moho, that is your problem. Because it's the closest planet to the sun, it obviously has a huge, huge temperature. Now, December the 1st, this is the weekend of Kerbal Con, so at this point as well, Point 18, I've just found out, has been released. One of those of you who watch the Tech It series, you'll be aware that I play that server with a guy called Jerome. He's just messaged me, telling me that the Point 18 release of Kerbal Space Program is out, and we can dock, and there are all sorts of atmospheric events and so on and so forth. Teasing bugger, I can't do anything about it. My laptop died, so even if I could update the game at work, I haven't got a machine powerful enough to run it there. And of course, I have no internet here, as I keep moaning about it. So the only other thing, but I'm pretty sure that my computer's locked out of it. I might be able to try and download it onto that machine, put it on a memory stick, and bring it home. That's what I'll try and do, but still, I won't be releasing any episodes until at least after Christmas, he says. We might do a little sneak peek Kerbal Space Program, just to cheat and fly around the atmosphere. I might modify some fuel tanks and just go on a little bit of an adventure for half an hour, and then come back to doing it properly. Actually, talking to cheating and modifying fuel tanks, as I said before, that is going to happen in later episodes, because I want to get down on Moho before Christmas. But that's pretty much as I'm going to say on that subject, because I don't want to spoil the surprise too much. I know that I get quite a few comments saying that you guys enjoy watching these, because I don't use I just use the vanilla game. And it's purely an impatience thing. I will get to Moho with only vanilla parts. Just I wanted to do it before Christmas, and it wasn't going to happen without doing that. So if you're disappointed that I've gone ahead and done that, I do apologise. Like I say, I will be returning to the vanilla game shortly, but for the time being, I felt that was the best course of action, just to keep the pace up, really, keep the pace of the game. But at no other point, and I absolutely promise this, have I used modified parts. In fact, actually, technically, I didn't necessarily modify them. They weren't modified off the launch pad, certainly. They were all vanilla off the launch pad. And I'm very, very open about what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. But basically, I refill the tanks, and then I overfill the tanks. But as I said, at every point, at no point do I go ahead and sneakily go ahead and add fuel or reduce mass or drag or anything like that of the parts. If I'm going to do it, I will tell you. Yeah, and let's say hopefully it's not too disappointing to find out that I'm going to do that in the future, spooky future. So, as I said, December the 1st, just because, again, we're going to be a long time doing these transfer burns, and this is another reason why I wanted to modify the parts, because I didn't want to be doing this bit over and over and over again. I also start save spamming as well. Not for a little while, but I will start doing that eventually because we run into one or two problems. Again, not too much on that because I don't want to spoil the episodes too much. But yeah, December the 1st, and I have just been outside and put up all my Christmas lights. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you want an easy job decorating a house with lights, get a bungalow. It's so when I used to live with my mum, she has a 5-bedroom, quite a big house, and it's very, yeah, it's just very big, and she has Christmas lights that run all across the front of the house and all up into the eaves, and the eaves probably about 30 foot. Now, as I've said before, I'm a theatre technician. I am used to heights, but when I'm normally rigging lights at 30 feet, I'm on some sort of hard surface, be it wood or concrete, or something like that. It's generally a hard level surface with a decent quality ladder. When I do them for my mum's, do the lights for my mum, I am on spongy ground where you're 30 foot in the air and all of a sudden the ground will just give way and half of your ladder will sink, and it is terrifying. So those Christmas lights have been up for 4 years. They never come down. I take all the other ones down, which are a bit easier. And so on and so forth. But those particular ones have been up for 5 years. And actually, luckily, touch wood, they have been pretty reliable. They've never. We put the first set that we put up were the old-fashioned incandescent glass bulbs, and we got a couple of bouts of high wind, and it smashed a load of bulbs, and I wound up having to tear them down. But then we replaced them with some of the first generation LEDs, and I thought, this isn't going to last very long. And as I say, 4 or 5 years later, they're still up there and they're still working absolutely fine. So kudos to the company who constructed that one. But the house that we live in now, we actually live adjacent to our landlord, and I'm just wondering how they're going to react when I get my 10-foot inflatable polar bear and a Santa hat out on the lawn, because they're very, 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 very proud of the grounds. But I cannot have a Christmas without Benji Bear. Yes, I am 29. Okay, so there we go. I've cut the burn off there. We've met the orbital path of Moho. So what we're doing now is just finding out exactly how close or how far away we are from an interception, and also where the planet's going to be when we are in that sort of vicinity, to find out how close we are going to have to get because of gravitational pull. Now, as you can see, the tilt isn't particularly great, so what we're going to do now, I think, at this point, we're going to get into our 180 degree... No, we're going to start with 90... No, we're going to start with... Oh, I keep changing my mind. We're going south. We're going to go on the 100 degree mark, and then we're going to burn. And then we're going to find out that's the wrong direction, and we'll have to turn around and do it again. The problem with these as well is that you have to be so gentle with them. It takes so long to notice anything that... Oh, sorry, we've just got to line ourselves up a bit more first. Or we missed it. Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention at that particular... Here we go. Stop! Oh, we went straight past it. Damn it, so we have to spin round again. Yeah, this is another thing which is going to chew up quite a bit of fuel. I'd say this probably takes about a quarter of a tank to get the plane axis correct. Or your orbital plane. Just to let you know what we're doing. So we're keeping our orbital path completely level. and we're keeping the ship and the sun in line, and we're waiting for Moho's orbital path to cross over with ours. When that happens, we're going to burn... I think we're going to burn south, but I can't remember if we need to do that or burn north. I mean, technically, we should need to burn south, sorry. Yeah, because we're trying to push our right-hand side down. So if we burn south... But I don't know, I never really got a handle. There we go, yeah. So you can see the blue line's just dropping now. Well, I say it's dropping. I'm looking at the right-hand side of the screen. It's dropping there, but it's rising on the left. Now I'm going to do something very professional and have a drink of Dr. Pepper. Other soft drinks are available. Unless Dr. Pepper and the Coca-Cola company want to give me some money, in which case, there is nothing but Dr. Pepper. Okay, so we're nearly at the angle that we want to be at. Don't know what to say really. I've pretty much spent everything, and okay, so I mean Christmas at this point should be what, about 10 days away. So hopefully everyone's got the Christmas presents, and I know our school's got the first expressive arts mocks on. So we've got art and textile, we've got drama, we've done music, we've done the music practicals. They're out of the way, but I don't know whether or not there's a theory mock that they've got to go through. Though I did have a call from the exam department the other day, just wanting to confirm some stuff, and I did hear a couple of music exams get mentioned. Whether or not they're the GCSE or A level, I'm not sure. But if you have got mocks coming up over December, I feel sorry for you, but good luck with that. Hopefully everything works out in favour for you. And just think of it this way, you can get all your work over and done with, and then come away and enjoy the Christmas period. As soon as I've finished the Christmas, I go right up to the 21st of December. Well, I'm going to try and get that day off, but I'm going to be working from home, but I need to be here for the Sky technician to come and put the internet in. And I will go back and I will go straight to the plays. So anyway, we're coming up on the end of the episode here, but I would like to thank you very much for joining me. I hope that this hasn't been too off-putting, but I prefer to do a post-commentary than not to put this episode out at all. But do join me next time, and best way to do that is subscribe, and you can get notifications about when I put new stuff up. I do put a new video out every day. I do my absolute utmost to do that for you as well. So thank you very much for joining me. My name is Knee-High Hobo. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.